To my channel. My name is Essie. I am a Singaporean living here in North Sweden. In this video, I'm going to share with you my true experience trying to get a ticket from Singapore back to Stockholm. And I hope this video is useful for those of you, especially if you are stuck in Asia or in Australia trying to come back to Europe. So if you notice, most of the flights from Asia have to bypass the Doha and the Middle Eastern region. So I'm not the only one, and a lot of people, including my friend who just bought a ticket going on May, also is facing the problem. So this is not just a video about how I find my way back, and also for those of you who are maybe planning in the nearest future from Southeast Asia to any European country or in any country using Qatar Airline. So this is a video that I am just sharing my experience traveling with Qatar Airway. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask me in the comment. I'll try my best to answer you. All right. Of course, those things that I know. Let me just start off with how I get into this hot pot of soup that really drained me for a few days with sleepless night. And the aim of this video is to help you to identify what you should do, what are the mistakes that we made, and how we get solution, so that you will not waste a lot of time doing the wrong thing and then end up in a very stressful situation. Hello, extended your holiday to Southeast Asia. Everything happened. Life is good. Okay. Hello, Waylon 28. Nice to hear from you. Okay, let me just tell you how the situation is with the airport. Actually, I didn't think that we would make it because it just 2 days ago I was so hopeless. I felt so helpless that no one could turn to, that we don't have any resource at all. So I couldn't sleep for like a few days, for at least 5 days. It was very stressful because of the war. We do not know when we have the opportunity to come back. So I'll explain how the situation was when we were there, and then what are the mistakes we made, and also how to rectify them so that you don't do the same thing we did. And I would offer you the fastest, easiest way to get home. So if you are also like me, stuck or planning to go on a trip soon with all the Middle Eastern airline, this is the video for you. Let me know where you are watching from, and also, are you stuck in the same situation I was just 2 days ago? So let me just start off by welcoming you. If you haven't subscribed, do so, because I do a lot of video about how to step back in life and just feel the life, to feel alive, if that makes sense to you. So first of all, you guys know we have been traveling for nearly 2 months now in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia, in Thailand, and our last destination was Singapore. And when we were traveling to Malaysia, that was when the war outbreak. We didn't think so much though. We didn't think that this was like very serious until when we like 2 weeks ago, when the war was like getting out of control, then we start to worry. So during that time, we were in the process of going to Singapore, but it was before that we were in Malaysia. And I told my partner LG, I said, we have to look into this because this war is seems like getting worse and worse, and there was like no solution out. So we will I use this app called ChatGPT to help me to calm down because I was very worried that I might not be able to make it, or we might not be able to make it. So ChatGPT is very good in a sense that it will advise you which are the authority you should contact and what steps to take. But I noticed ChatGPT is not 100% accurate. It's like 80-90%. And then the other 10% you have to figure out yourself. Sometimes you have to use your intuitions too. So for me, I felt like they told us, ChatGPT told us that we should monitor our schedule, like, how our flight status is like. Hello, Joseph. How are you? It's good to see you here. So we monitor our flight for like 7 days in ahead, and as we go further down those 7 days, we realize we have to think about a strategy or a plan that works. Because during the first 7 days, I already started with writing to the Qatar service or customer department, and then because I also joined as their privilege membership club, because I want to make sure that I get some help from that. I thought I did. And then also I also go into their chat. They have a chat bot. I know it's not a human being, but I want to find out certain links. And let me go through with you all those things that we have been through, and how stressful is that. And you will not believe it. For 7 days I've been chasing them. I written to the aviation department, Qatar aviation department, where they will give you like a feedback. What is airspace there like, and how likely they are to be operating. And also we have written to customer service at Qatar. No response. I think I've written to them at least 5 emails and asking them, how do we go about with the rebooking. And also I've checked with them, chat, and then all this chatbot, they don't help you really. They only give you like link, and they don't really. It's not a real person that chat with you. So I didn't expect so much from them. I only want some links that I could call. So they give us some telephone number, but I tried to reach out, sit in front of the telephone and just keep calling both the Singapore office, and then I also tried the international office. Nothing worked, and it was so frustrating because it was like the queue is like 100 over people, and then you have to wait and wait. Sometimes it comes to a point where it was so frustrating, so stressful. And I told my partner, I said, we cannot sit here and wait for a whole day because we only have like 8 days in Singapore. And I don't want to keep telling my friend, no, 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 I can't meet because I have to fix this. And lucky my friends, all of them, they were very understanding. They said that, oh, SC, it's better you come out than being stressed and stranded in the hotel and you have to keep calling. So can you imagine, you have to spend like half the day just calling and no one is helping us. So it was really, really how do I say, discouraging, and we felt so helpless. Honestly, I was not aware of your situation. Oh, I hope to know how to help you. Okay. Hello, Kam Hang Go Wang. Are you? Let me know, alright, you guys, if you are stuck in this situation. I really, really hope that my feedback will help you a little bit, because I think I think you have to work on a plan. You have to have a strategy in order for you to work. And I will share with you one very secret strategy that I always practice and I always get what I want. All right. So make sure you stay until the end of the video. So, okay. Hi. So let me just tell you how we go about with the booking strategy. Imagine you are being stranded in a country like Singapore. And I'm sure you know Singapore is not a cheap country to be stranded. First of all, the hotel is extremely expensive. And I told my partner we can be stranded here 1 or 2 days, but not more because the cost is going to be added on. And also because of the war, the situation is very unstable. Because if you have been following the social media, you guys know that Dubai was attacked. And also just yesterday, 31st, no, the day before, uh, Qatar and Doha was also being attacked. There was a ship being attacked, like I think it's like 30 kilometers from Doha airport. So they have to close the airspace. So just imagine if we miss that flight, which was on the 31st. We flew out of Singapore on the 31st, midnight. I think the flight was 5:30 in the morning. So I will tell you how that happened, right? How we managed to get onto that plane. And sometimes, people say, oh, you have to try on your luck. And it was so stressful. I was forced to join a Facebook group which called Qatar Airway Complaint. Because I joined that group is because I want to see what are the problems other people have, not just myself. Because obviously I was not the only person, or we were not the only one. But there was like thousands of people who are in this group chat that was formed just recently, and everybody was saying, "Oh, we cannot get air. We can. Qatar Airline was unreachable. Unreachable. They have tried everything." And some of them, the agent, if you are booking through a agent like booking.com, Agoda, Expedia, these are agent. So usually the agent responsibility is to get back to you and tell you, okay, now the situation in this case, right, we have to rebook you. So that was what happened to us when like a week ago, our agent wrote to us and show us a route that they can rebook us on this reroute flight to avoid that war zone area. So we were very, very happy because we thought that, they could help us to get out of Singapore. And, I think these Asians are not being serious because just the day after, they wrote to us again and they said, sorry, we cannot help you, you have to do everything by yourself. So we were shocked because how come, yesterday they sent us a route where we could take via Singapore, Doha, London, Stockholm, and then back to our hometown. No, they told us we can't help you. You are on your own now, or otherwise you call your Qatar airline and liaise with them. And of course, ChatGPT say, oh, you have to get your agent to release that ticket so that, Qatar could come in, take the ticket and be responsible to bring you back to Stockholm, Sweden. So we asked the agent, and the agent was very unhelpful. They keep pressurizing us. They say, seek for a refund, and then rebook a new ticket. And I know why they are doing that. Let me just read. I didn't know that Facebook group especially have this issue. Yes, Joseph, they have this situation. So what we did is that we asked the agent for 2 days, have you released the ticket? Have you released the ticket? Because if you don't release the ticket, Qatar cannot help us. And this agent, they are very slow. This is a Swedish flying agent, travel agent. It's called Flick City, right? Never book to them because they keep pressurizing us to refund. And I refuse to refund because the minute you click onto that refund from Qatar Airway website, you are actually telling them, okay, now I'm on my own. You are not responsible for my return. So never, never do that. Because when you do that, as you guys know, the oil is being disrupted, right? So when we were in Malaysia, it was like 2 weeks before, the price of the oil was like double, triple. Just imagine Malaysia, they have their own oil and they were facing problem already. What more if it's a Singapore when we are totally depending on the most global airlines, they are totally depending on the gas from Qatar or from all the Iran or maybe in Dubai. So I don't know what is the cost of your petrol now, because for here in Sweden we are not very much affected, but I know in Southeast Asia country like Singapore, the price was like jumping like skyrocket, and it was crazy. A lot of people, they even quit driving taxi and quit driving Grab. In Vietnam, it's totally chaos there because I remember just 2 weeks ago I saw on some social media, instead of those Grab food driver, they have to pick their food and then send it to their customer on the bike, right, the scooter. It was like 2 days after, the Vietnamese Grab driver, they have to they cannot afford to even maintain their scooter. They have to use bicycle. So a lot of disruption for food delivery and also taxi. People gave up their career as a Grab driver. And even in Singapore, there were a lot of people, they were saying, is it even worth it? Maybe they should get a second job or third job. So it was a really, really bad situation in terms of Southeast Asia. I think it's going to be worse if this war never ends. In my opinion, I can trust ChatGPT for emotional support. And if the logic problem like guidance and travel terms on airline ticket, yeah, it is very useful. Yeah, I find it very useful. But then, if you prompt the ChatGPT, they will tell you to a certain extent only. Unless you are smart enough to outsmart this system and say, okay, I can see the next problem is we fix this problem, but the next step, what about the next step? Then sometimes it can be a bit too late for you to identify the next steps, right? So that was what we were doing. We were doing the wrong thing. We waste so many days chasing Qatar Airline. We waste time calling them the whole day, and we never get any response or any result. And I was telling myself, I said, I'm not the only one. I am sure I can understand why they are not answering phone, because they cannot handle that. I'm sure there are like millions of people who are stuck in that situation. Only those that is really, really urgent, they are so desperate. And I was in that situation too. And to be honest, I didn't sleep well. I was like, keep worrying, because if the flight keep canceling, which means to say I'm going to be stranded in Singapore, right? And I was facing two really bad situation. My travel agent turned their back. Qatar Airline not responding in any form. And honestly, I was in this panic mode. So I remember, I think 1.5 weeks ago, on my second day of arrival in Singapore, I had a lunch date with my niece. The first time I met her after 20 years. I've never seen her that since then, because she's just given birth to two babies. So I thought, hey, we should go to the airport and and have lunch. And when we were there, I suddenly thought of, Qatar Airlines should have an office in Singapore, Changi Airport, right? And I asked everybody, do you know the office? And everybody, the receptionist, the information, they have no idea if this office even exists. But one of them, the information counter, told me, you can go and check out the counter just far to your right. It's number 3, counter 3, and there is a sign there. You can talk to anyone. From the Qatar airline. Unfortunately, there is an operation time that said you can come back 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, how the heck I'm going to get there? First of all, the MRT is not working. It stopped working at 11:30. Bus services doesn't work at the time. They close at around 12:30. And then if I were to get a taxi and a Grab, and do you know how much is it? It's about 150 US dollar, right? For me to get from my hotel to the airport. And I don't even know if they could help me to solve 150 one way, 250, 300 US dollar is to and fro, because they have to charge the midnight service charge. So I mean, money is also one of the concern also when we add on, to our time, and literally we have to camp there, because we have to be there like 3 hours before the departure date, which means to say that we have to be there 2:30 in the morning, right? And whether we get help, we don't know. So it comes to a point where I told myself, after all those chasing, after all those calling, we have to have a plan B. We mustn't depend on one resource, which is trying to get hold of them, which is the biggest mistake, because that can be really draining your energy. Like, just imagine, trying to figure out. And so come the timing of the war. And we realize we monitor the situation of the war through social media. Like some YouTuber, they are like reporting, oh, how's the war like in Iran, what is Trump thinking, and because this war totally rely on his sense of dementia, so we were feeling very insecure, and we were so afraid that if we book a flight from Singapore to Doha, because it has to go to Doha, if we're going to rebook, because Qatar airline have stopped collaborating, or maybe other airline decided not to collaborate with Qatar, so there was no other how do you call that, the collaboration with other airline, which means to say that if you book to Qatar, you have to take their flight, Qatar Airway this, Qatar Airway from Singapore to Doha, which is from Doha is also in Qatar, right? So you have to take another Qatar flight to another European country, and it's not guaranteed that your flight in Doha will not be cancelled. What if suddenly they come a drone that is attacking the airport or around the airport? Doha, they are very sensitive about security, so they have to stop the airspace, and that means that our flight will again be cancelled. And worse still, if we are stuck in Doha, and what if the bomb land onto the airspace or in the airport by itself? So you can imagine, right, how stressful it is for us to, pull through every day. I didn't enjoy myself. My friend, they saw my face, like my face, I want to cry, when I meet them, because I was totally helpless, and I don't know how long I'm going to be stuck here. Let me just take a sip of water before I continue. And The worst part, is what? Beside being afraid every day that your flight get cancelled, the worst part is that when we thought about the plan B, the price from other airline, because I want to avoid the war zone area. So our only choice to go back to Sweden is either you take a plane from Singapore, you have to buy a new ticket from Singapore to, maybe Finland, or maybe to Paris, or maybe to England. I have checked the price. If you have checked that too, the price has gone up 5 times. Which means to say, if my return ticket is 5,000 Swedish kroner, that is about 500 US dollar times 5, right? It's 2,500 for just one way for one person. It's 5 times more, all right? It's really expensive, and it's two of us, so you just have to times two, and that is giving you like 5,000-6,000 US dollar we have to pay to in order to get back to Sweden. The price of an air ticket is so expensive. I mean, even though we could just stretch our budget a bit and pay for it, and we realize this is not going to work, because can we get the ticket? Not necessary, because we have checked some of the airline, they were like full. And all those people from the Facebook group, which they are also trying, and some of them you cannot rely on this Facebook group, because a lot of them already given up. So they say, just accept the refund and then just move on, buy a new ticket, and maybe if you want, you can claim insurance. We've checked with our insurance company. They cannot pay us the full sum, very little amount, and the same goes to the refund. So if you are stuck in Singapore, for example, and you seek like a refund, they will not even pay you the full amount. Let's say you buy your ticket for 1,000 US dollar, all right? And instead of paying you 5,000, they maybe pay you instead of paying you 500, maybe they pay you 300 or 250. They will not pay you the full sum, all right? Because just imagine, a lot of people pull out from the flight from Asia, or maybe from other part of the world, connect using Qatar Airway, and a lot of them pull out because of the war. And just imagine, they could go bankrupt. Qatar could go bankrupt, and they need money at this time, because there's problem with petrol, there's problem with cancellation flight, and they have to refund all their travelers. So just imagine, what kind of situation they are in. So I do not know. Have your flight ever get cancelled? Have you claimed insurance? And what is the situation? Are you able to claim the whole amount or just a small amount? So price is one of the obstacles, and we was like very reluctant, because if you are given a choice, right, to refund, get much lesser than you paid out, or you get a rebook and then you go back to Doha, and maybe there's a chance of your flight being cancelled without paying anything, or your plan C is to get a new ticket. Of course, you don't want to pay like 5 times the amount, right? So we took our chance. All right, let me tell you how I end up getting home. This is what happened. After all the stress, I told my partner, I said, it's within 48 hours, we have to make a decision. It's either this or this. It's either we get a rebooking from Qatar Airline or we pay 5 times more the price to get to get back home. There was only one alternative, was one cheapest option, that is going by the China airline. I refuse to step foot in China because I don't trust them. And secondly, it's very difficult for me to understand their culture. So I think I might be very stressful over taking a China airline up north and then go back to Sweden. So I told LJ, I said, forget about plan A. I forget about plan B because first of all, it's far so expensive, and we have to, find a way out of plan A, which is to get ourselves rebooked by Qatar. And how do we do that? So, on the 31st, on the 30th of March, I'm getting a bit confused. 30th, 30 of March, and I woke up. I was so tired, and just something struck my mind and said to me, ST, go to the airport. Go to the airport. Don't ask why, just go. And remember I told you what is things that was working for me. I always believe that our mind, our human brain is like a magnet. If you receive negative thought, or if you have negative thought, you are going to just attract negative reaction. So I tell myself, okay, I have to listen to my gut. And for no reason, actually we're supposed to go there like the 31st, which is the within the 48 hours. I told myself, no, I'm not going. I'm going to listen to my intuition and follow my guts. So I said, let's go. After breakfast, we go to the airport directly. We don't have any meeting there, but I just want to go there and take a look and see if there was anything. And LG was saying, don't waste your time there, because they are never there until like 5:30 midnight in the morning. And I told him, I said, no, listen to me, we have to go. And I spoken to one of my subscriber who used to work in Changi Airport, Singapore, Changi Airport, that there should be a Qatar for office there. And she argued with me. She said, there is one office there. There's no way. Singapore is the best airport in the whole world, and they should have offices for the alliances. So I said, I know they don't have, because we were there the week before and nobody knows about the office. But still, I want to go. So I go back to the counter number 3 and I saw, hey, there is another operation hour, and that is 4 p.m. And then another one is the same 5:30 in the morning. So I said, hey, if we are lucky, we can maybe speak to the one at 4 p.m. So we were there in the morning after breakfast, right? I said, LG, let's sit here and wait patiently. And maybe because Changi Airport is so beautiful and so relaxing, so I decided to just go for a walk, because that's our morning walk. So we walk round and round, and then I called my sister. I said, because she was staying near the airport, I said, come, let's go for lunch, because sometimes you really need to distress. You need some distraction to get yourself out of this stressful mode and, tune into a more positive and more loving mode and more harmony mode. And I think that is when our brain change. So when our mind change to more positive and more relaxed and more, hopeful, we will attract the positive reaction or energy or vibration. So we had lunch with my sister at the airport, a really good one, and we have coffee in a very nice expensive cafe. She offers to pay. I mean, I felt like I need to see her before I leave, and I don't know. But I just got a feeling that we have to leave very soon because when I was studying Trump's behavior, I know that he's not in the right state of mind. He can, you have to take him seriously because he's not in the right state. And when a person is not in the right state, they can do stupid mistakes. So we waited until 4 o'clock, and then this they opened the counter. There was like four girls, came into the counter, and they were not employed by Qatar Airlines. They were like servicing the Singapore Changi Airport, helping customers with the first stage of inquiry. So I told them my situation. My flight has been cancelled, and I do not know what to do. And I hope you guys can help us. And I think when you are submissive in, you put yourself down, humbling down. And at that point, I wasn't like demanding. By right, I should be very angry. I should be like, ugh, right? But I told myself it won't work if you are angry or you are just putting out the negative energy. So I told them, I said, we really need help. And I think she can see that in my face. And don't worry, we are here to help. Just give me, your information. What is your reference? And, when are you supposed to fly? And show me your passport. And when all this is done, they registered in one of the computer, and they said, okay, could you please sit here and we will get back to you. The real Qatar Airway staff will come and help and assist you. So we sat there just like 5 minutes. We're supposed to wait for 15 minutes, but 5 minutes later, two of the Qatar Airline people came, and there was a guy and this girl. And I look at the guy. Sometimes you really have to have some connection, like whether the person offers you a solution or a positive vibe. For me, I'm very sensitive with people who have positive vibes. So when I look at him, he look at me, and we have this some kind of connection also. And by the way, do you know that airlines, they have a code. When they select, I'm not saying that they choose people to work with. What I'm saying is that if they look at your situation, especially if you are a senior, they will help you first. All right? Luckily, I didn't dye my hair. So LG hair is all white and my hair is like all very gray, and they were looking at us. I think maybe they pity us or what, I don't know. So actually we are on the third, our queue is on the third one. And this guy, he looked at me and then he said, come. I said, but I'm number 3, don't worry, come. He said, okay, let me tell you what is the situation. So he's like, wow, very warm, he said, auntie, your situation is like that. Is it okay we put you on a flight from Singapore to Doha, then to London, and then to Stockholm? But the negative thing is that you have to wait like 12 hours in England, Heathrow Airport. And that stage, you just take whatever that is given to you, right? So I said, yeah, I'll do whatever, it takes, to go back home, because I think we were in a very desperate situation. So we said, yeah, no mind, let's do it. And then immediately he go and print out the ticket, print out the schedule and show it to me. He said, this is how it looked like. Then he explained very clearly, like, okay, at this time you're in Singapore and you're flying to Doha and then England, transit 12 hours and all that. I have to accept it because I know if I don't accept it, you never know. So he told me, he said, auntie, if I were you, I will take this offer. I said, why? He said, because we don't know, we seriously do not know whether there is another flight available for the next few days, and even next week. We do not know whether the airspace is going to be closed or what. So he said, if I were you, take this. So I said, okay, I listen to you, take this. And then he even advised me, he said, Auntie, you know what, it's very cheap to take a bus, right? Actually, from where your hotel is, you don't need to take the taxi or the metro because you guys are old, you don't want to drag the bag. So if I were you, I would take bus service number 24 just opposite your hotel. And I was thinking, wow, he's doing more than he's supposed to, which really warms my heart because I think he understands. So I'm really grateful. So he said, Auntie, if you can go back to your office, go back to your hotel, pack your bag, and if you are ready to go, I'll print this ticket for you right away. But give me a WhatsApp in case there's any changes, in case there's any cancellation. You see, even at that stage, they still try to help us. So he said, I'll call you later, okay? You go back to your hotel now and pack all your bag and then take the number 24, come to the airport after that. Have a little rest because it was like 5 hours ahead of the flight and the time where we're supposed to check in. So me and LG was like, oh, we could finally breathe out and I said, God is helping us, all our prayers. My friends, they were praying for us. It's been, somebody listened to us. I felt really blessed at that time. I thought that we're never going to find our way back. So me and LG, we quickly go back by the metro. We say farewell to my sister and I ask her to send farewell to the rest of my friends. Because I don't know how the situation is going to be like if we end up in Doha, and who knows, maybe there's a bomb there, waiting for us. But I still want to take that chance. So we came back, packed our bag, we ate our dinner, and then we just rest for half an hour, and we were on our way back, on our way to the airport. If you let me ask, my brother suggests to ask you if there were airport out of the range to travel to it by land or travel. No, there's no way we could travel by land because it's too risky, even with boats, because most of the air, 99% of the air is going through the war zone. So we have to, fly, unfortunately. I'm sorry, I'm just so emotional. This few days has really made me realize, life is so precious. Let me see if I can find some tissue paper. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I'll try not to cry. So when I think we have some guardian angel on our way. When we took bus, we were so worried that because we have 4 luggage and they were so heavy and big, and the bus driver in Singapore, they were like first class, Oh, don't worry, we can help you. The driver came to help the other guy with the luggage, but then I thought that was really sweet. And I asked him, can we go by the back door? He said, don't worry, I will lower, because our bus, they can lower wheels, and you could get up on the bus very easily. So it was really good. We felt so relieved when we get up on the bus because the bus will never break down. The bus is very reliable. It brings us all the way to the airport terminal entrance, because if we were to drag our bag with the metro, we have to go climb up and down the stairs, elevators, even though it's convenient, but dragging 4 bags is no joke. All right, if it's really heavy, our bag. So we reached the airport. I felt like, oh, just hope that they will not change our flight, And I was looking at this, the billboard all the time, praying that it will not be cancelled. And suddenly this guy, the Qatar guy, just appeared in front of me. So I asked him, I said, hey, I want to thank you for helping me out, I really appreciate that. But because our time in Qatar is just 1.5 hours, do you think we could make it? And then he smiled at me and he said, don't worry, auntie, I'm sure there's no problem because our airport is very reliable. He means in Qatar airport, Doha. It's true enough. We manage everything, even though we have to take a bus from the plane to the terminal, and from the terminal we have to go to this other terminal. It took us just less than half an hour. So we have 1 hour idling, nothing to do. So it was really good. And again, there's another obstacle, is that we were so afraid that the plane from Doha might cancel too, right? When we were in Doha airport, we were surprised. It was quite empty. Not empty in the sense there's no people, but we travel by Doha, Qatar airline, and every time when we go to Qatar airport, it was like boom, 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 all people, all it's very, very busy. But this time, it's like you hardly hear anybody talking very loud, or there's a lot of people. It was very calm. It's like everybody is like in this mode whereby they were just like praying or hoping that their flight will not be cancelled. When we got up on the plane, we felt a little bit of relief. In half an hour, we are out of Doha. That was what we thought, yeah. So it was what we thought. And when the plane fly away from Doha, I knew that we are safer and safer by the minute. And in my heart was like sinking. Every minute, every second at the airport. But it somehow lifted every second also when you are moving further and further away, when the flight move away from Doha. And when we arrived in Heathrow in London, I saw on the news that they closed Doha airspace at 0032. I think that was 1 or 2 hours after we left Doha. They closed the airspace. And let me tell you, sometimes the right timing, meeting the right people, the right timing, and how lucky you are really, really counts. Just imagine if we miss that flight, or if we say, okay, we will go to the airport and talk to the Qatar personnel the next day, we will definitely still in Singapore now. Today is the 2nd of April. I think There's a guardian angel somehow, always around me and always guiding me. And I just noticed, when we are in a very vulnerable stage, we must be humble and we must be grateful and we must be hopeful. You cannot give up. You can't, because you have to fight, fight. You have to. You cannot give up. You always have to have a plan B. If plan B don't work, do on plan A. Plan B don't work, go back to plan A and see what mistake did I make. And don't make the same mistakes. The waiting, the stress, and not enough sleep really drained me, my energy. I was like so tired. When we get up, when we come back, when we step onto Sweden, there was I felt like my whole soul just like, even in London, I felt like I'm much safer there. We are away. Yes, okay. Thank you, Joseph, and have a great weekend. Yeah, this Easter, and I hope everyone have a peaceful, joyful Easter too. So, my mistake is what I want to tell you so that you won't make the mistake. Let me offer you a step by step. First of all, when are you leaving? Don't contact the airport far too early because they will not entertain you. If your agent, if your travel agent is responsible, press them hard and say that you are responsible to take me back from where I come from. Press them. And if they don't do that, report them. Our flight agent don't give a shit about us, all right? And they can tell us that, oh, we have no liability, we have no responsibility, you have to do everything yourself, even though we told them it is your right and we know our rights. But you still have to continue to press them. And then also check your uh, flight status. It the flight status is not accurate on the Qatar website. Don't check there because they will not help you. Even though they say, okay, in the next few days it is scheduled, it is not guaranteed. They can still cancel it if the airspace is not safe. So I wouldn't depend on that, but you can also just keep checking and see how's the status. Sometimes it will change. So for me, I suggest that don't call them. Don't waste time calling them because there's nobody who answer you. Don't wait for them to come to you and help you to rebook. They will not do that. Don't waste your time writing to them because it takes a lot of energy and a lot of brain cell to write to them, and hopefully they will reply. They won't. And also, don't waste your time chatting on their chatbot because these are not human beings. They only give you links and that's it. They will not help you in a personal level. All right? This is complete waste of time and energy. If you can, go to the airport or call the airport and ask for direction. How do I speak to a Qatar personnel? I am sure there is somebody who's working on every airport that assists passengers to rebook. So sometimes Qatar Airline has a sister company or they are on this one world alliances that they can help you even though they are not the same. But maybe like if what I know is this British Airways is alliance Malaysian Airline is also alliance. So you can, if Qatar Airline is not there, you can check with them and see how they could, work with you. And maybe from there, they will give you some suggestion like when is the best time to call them, which number to call. When you speak to somebody personally, I know you are very stressed, you are very angry, you know, don't put that on the person that is trying to help you because it will not do any good. Just be as polite as possible, because when you are humble and polite and friendly, people are more willing to help you because they have nothing to do with this war. And I'm sure people always help people. If you are nasty, you only get nasty response, right? And also, if you have already booked a Qatar airline, a flight, maybe traveling in May or in June, you too can go to the airport and check with the Qatar airline staff and seek for their advice and say, hey, I got this ticket that is flying in 1st of May. I know you do not know the chance of whether this flight can be cancelled, but can you offer me some options? It's either they will tell you, okay, you maybe need to cancel the whole travel plan, or maybe you put it on hold until we know. But at least when you speak to somebody, you have some confirmation, right? Like, let them do their job and let them give you advice, because they are there to help you. They are paid to assist you. So tell them your situation, and then they will offer you a plan B. A lot of people from Facebook groups, sometimes they are really, really negative. They are so angry with Qatar Airline. They said, oh, they never call, they never respond. Some of them, they've been stuck like 15 days in a country that they don't want to be in, or maybe too expensive, and they were demanding for Qatar Airline to pay for their hotel accommodation. They won't, because if your plane is being cancelled on the same day when you are there with your luggage and you are going to check in, if the plane is cancelled, then they are responsible for compensation, like maybe offer you, if the plane has been cancelled or maybe rescheduled over a longer period of time, they will pay your meals, they will pay for your hotel, and maybe they will offer you a place to stay nearby. So I know Qatar used to do that for us when we have a cancelled or rescheduled flight. I think a few years ago, they provide us transport, they provide us hotel and meals also. So just reach out to them personally and then get the help. And then your state of mind has to be positive. If you have this anger, it's not going anywhere. So you wonder what kind of content I will be creating, right? Now that I'm back, my first thought is to do this live streaming, because I know there's a lot of you guys out there in this desperate, frustration, stressful moments, waiting. I've spoken to people at the airport that their flights has been cancelled 5 times, 10 times. Some of them have been stranded like weeks, and all they do is just to complain and complain. They never find a way, source, a second plan. So I think don't put all the hope in one place. Spread out, reach out, and see if you can go out there and talk to someone that can help you. My next video, I hope starting from next week. This is Easter week, so I plan to have some rest. I really need that because it was very stressful for past few days. And when we got home yesterday, I fall asleep like 6 hours stretch. And because the time difference from Singapore and Sweden is about 7 hours, so my state of mind was not very clear. But I knew that this is an emergency live stream that needs to come out so that you guys have a better picture like what you should do, instead of doing what I did. So I will be planning this weekend on my next video, and I'm planning to focus on what are the things that is important right now at this stage, and offer you guys like a hopefully you find it helpful, like tips and tricks if you are planning to move from your current country, maybe US, to other area. Are you going to be able to move permanently? Find a place where it's safe. Is Malaysia a safe place to temporarily stay there? I can be rest assured you will be shocked that the video that I'm going to be producing and presenting will be very useful if you are planning to go to Southeast Asia like Thailand or in Malaysia. Singapore a bit expensive, but then if you can afford, it's actually a very safe place to take shelter. So I'm trying to gather all these ideas, and then I'm going to put them. It's either live streaming or in a video form. And I hope you will find all this video useful. Okay, now I have said what I have to say, and I hope you find this video helpful. Please share if you have know someone who are stranded or somebody who are planning to fly through with Qatar Airlines. What I can provide you today is based on my experience with Qatar Airlines. I have no idea how Emirates work. I heard it is very effective too. But so far, my experience with Qatar Airlines is very positive. I understand their situation that they are unable to handle so many inquiries per day. They are shortage of manpower, and just work smart. All right, don't go the traditional way and chase. It's a complete waste of time. I hope you like this video. Give a thumbs up if you find it useful, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great Easter. Bye. No voice already. I've been having a cough lately, so I've been drinking and taking lozenges all day. But when I came back, when I have my cough medicines, ever since yesterday, after my first drops of medicines, I felt okay. So I think I'm in the recovering mode, and hopefully I can do a live streaming next week if you like, to talk or to keep you guys updates on what is the situation on traveling, and also some tips and tricks about slow travel and slow living. See you guys. Bye bye.